All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Tuesday evening screencast video coaching call. My name is Naylor. I'm going to be your host tonight, along with Maggie the Wonder Dog, of course. And this is the screencast coaching webinar. Tonight we have a special guest, so let's jump over to our PowerPoint. Take a quick look at that agenda for July 5th, 2022, Tuesday evening. Tonight, we actually have a special guest. The lovely and talented Damon Nelson is on with us today. I did a little spot on his Geek Out session last Friday, so he owed me. And we decided that since I don't have or am not experienced with Audiate for Camtasia, he's apparently kind of a freak for it. So he is going to take the reins and steer the ship and kind of give us a rundown on that for sure. If we have time, I got a couple of backup kinds of things, a few notes on using placeholders, and just a few 2022 library tips. I don't think we had any pre-submitted questions, at least the last time I checked. But if you have a Q that you would like an A for, be sure and pop it in the question box, and we'll kind of get rolling with that. And let's see, I'm just checking the questions here real quick, Damon. It looks like everybody's here. Everybody's kind of working on it, doing some stuff. And let me make you the presenter. Perfect. So here we go. We should see something handing it over to you, and then you can go ahead and share your screen. There you go. You're all over it.
Okay.
Take it away, boss.
Hopefully everybody can see this.
Yes, you are good to go.
Okay, great. Guys, welcome to the call. I'm very excited about joining you here. I've been following Naylor and all his Camtasia teaching for, I guess, close to, you've been doing this almost 10 years now, I think. Or
yeah, I think it's got to be a decade for you and I, for sure. I've been doing it longer than that, but here it is.
So I've been a student of Lon for a long time, and I've learned a lot about Camtasia. And I'm just a little background for me. I've been doing software development and programs and marketing automation for almost a full decade too. And I've had brick and mortar businesses. I've had a Rent-A-Wreck franchise. I've had been in the real estate business, home remodeling, and everything. In fact, I wish I was back in that at times. But I love marketing. I love automation. I love the online marketing world. And I love to do videos. The problem I have is I have a slow Texas drawl. And somebody told me I sound like Dr. Phil. And usually I'm in a room that has air conditioning. In fact, the air's off today, so you can't hear the fan. So I have to do a lot to edit my audio, and I've got pretty good at using the limited free sources with the, I had the Sony Pro, whatever their audio editor was called, and then I've used several free versions of audio. I've used the one that's built into Camtasia, the noise filter on Camtasia, kind of tweaked it a little bit. And the thing that I have to do constantly is I have what I've learned is called hesitance, where I'm going uhs, alls, ands, and buts. I have to cut those out, and I've done so much editing on video that it really, I can almost recognize the wave patterns of the audios when I say or us. But it still takes time to clean up the audio from my voice. And I'm fairly fast at it, but you know, I've got between that, the fan noise, and occasionally I've got people next door with loud audio coming through the walls, I've got to do a lot of audio tuning to get a really good presentation. Now, if it's something that we have in training, I don't do that much in audio cleanup, but I do a lot of sales. I do a lot of a lot of Facebook training and social media training. So I've had to get pretty good and pretty efficient at cleaning audio. Well, I bought Audiate when it first came out. I've been a member of theirs for about almost 3 years now. And they promised a combination of Camtasia Audiate. And in fact, that's why I stayed with them that long. But in the meanwhile, I kind of learned, I've been doing podcasts and voiceover work, and I've used Audiate for most of it. So today, what I want to show you, and Wayne, sorry, my partner is Wayne Atkinson. He's not on the call today. Lon, if I ask, I can't see really the chat, but how many people, just give me a yes if you've ever used Audiate, or if you have it now and you want to see how it works with Camtasia.
Keeping an eye on it.
Okay,
I actually used it for a trial period. I was talking to the developers, which I do quite a bit. Troy Stein, Brooks Andrus, those guys, and they gave me a trial account. But I don't know. For me, and I'm going to agree with Jim, who responded to your question, seems too pricey for what it offers. That was my basic take on it. Although now that it does what it does in the new version, I might have to revisit that a little bit. So I don't think, and I think I've asked this before, I don't think a lot of our folks are using it, if anyone. So there you go.
Well, and I'm the same way. It is an expense, but if I can show you how it can speed up your editing, your audio editing time, and do things that you probably wouldn't even waste your time doing today, I think you might see some value in. So I'm using Canva. Canva has Animate now, so I'm doing presentations on it. So what you'll learn tonight is what is Audiate, how to use it with Camtasia. There's a certain workflow that you want to do with Camtasia. I'm going to show you the exact steps to do. I'm going to also show you 3 easy editing tips. And then I'm going to go into noise filtering and waveform editing. There's some really powerful features that they've just kind of hidden under some buttons. And I want to make sure you know where the buttons are on Audiate so you can kind of tweak and tune up everything. And like I said, I've got a deep voice, so I've tried probably 15 different mics. I'm on a Shure MV7, and it's a good podcast. And it gives a clear recording that you can really adjust the audio with. So we're gonna tune up my audio a little bit. So let's kind of go, just for everybody's information. This is what TechSmith says. It's a standalone audio editing and transcription software. It uses AI-powered speech recognition to help you create professional sounding audio quickly and easily. Okay, well, that's the sales pitch. But it makes recordings and editing of your voice as simple as editing text in a document. And that's the fact. It is like a word processor. And that's why it kind of got me excited, because I can edit a Word doc a lot faster than I can my audio. So I'm going to do a little demo about Audiate before we get into Camtasia. So when you open up Audiate, this is exactly what you get right here. So I'm just going to record some things, and I'm going to just show you just some basic editing features. It looks a little like Camtasia. Okay, so today we're going to start with some editing tips and tricks to do with Audiate. And sometimes I have some hesitance. I don't know how to spell it, but it seems to be something I can edit out very quickly. Okay. And I catch myself all the time when I'm doing okay. So here's what the audio sounds like. Let's start with it. Okay. So today we're going to start with some editing tips and tricks to do with Audiate. Okay, so this is silence. This is a hesitant, and they've marked them for me. I can come in here and completely silence this right here, and I can go to the waveform editor. So this is the waveform editor, and I'll just go ahead and open it up. And if you've done any type of audio editing, you'll be familiar with this waveform. They put it on it's stereo, but it puts it on a single timeline, which I like. Let's go ahead and expand this a little bit. Okay, so I want to come up here, and first off, we'll close this for a second. So I've got about 13 seconds of recording. I'm going to come in here, and in fact, let's see what the silence sounds like right here with audio. Okay, so it's not too bad because I don't have any fan noise right now, but I want to get rid of that. So if I have a long script in here, I'm going to come in here to edit, and I'm going to delete all hesitations. I'm also going to come in here and silence all pauses. So anytime there's a pause, I'm going to silence it. Now what that does, if I have fan noise, it completely gets it out. Now, I'm going to come in here and go, I don't want Camtasia, and I don't want OK. That's kind of, it's one of my pet peeves on audio right there. And you start everything with tab. So today we're going to start with some editing tips. I'm going to take out some editing tips and tricks to do with. Okay, I don't like that silence there, so I'm going to get rid of it. To do with. And I'm going to get rid of that silence, and I'm going to get rid of with. So let's go back here. Editing tips and tricks to do with Audiate. Okay, and get rid of that. And sometimes I have some hesitant. Okay, now I know this word is different, so I'm gonna actually spell it right. That's the reason I do this is it will make a slight adjustment in the length of the waveform editor based on your custom word. So it shortened it a little bit. And the cool thing is if you have 3 or 4 words and you want to speak them faster, you highlight them, and you can say, and sometimes I have, so you can combine the words together, and it actually speeds it up a little bit if you notice the space in there. But let's go to the waveform editor. Okay, I'm going to come up here and go. So today we're going to start with. Okay, there's a long pause right here. It's not highlighted, but I'm going to get rid of that. Editing. There's another one. Tips and tricks to do with Audiate. And sometimes I have some hesitance. I don't know how to spell it. And I'm going to get rid of that right there. Now, if that's too much, you can just come over here and go, okay, I just want to delete that section. But okay, and I don't want the bud. I'll try to get rid of that, and let's get rid of that. So let's spell it. It seems to be something. Okay, I don't know how to spell it, and I could put another word in here, but I'm just going to skip it. It seems to be something I can edit out very quickly. Okay, there's that long pause right there. Now I'm going to get rid of that. And again, I don't like the OKs in there, but that's one of my faults in voiceover work. Okay, I catch myself all the time. But now we have something a lot quicker. So today we're going to start with editing tips and tricks to do with Audiate. And sometimes I have some hesitance. I don't know how to spell it. Seems to be something I can edit. Okay. I don't like this sentence in here. So what I'm going to do is highlight that entire sentence and delete it. To do with Audiate. And sometimes I have some hesitance. Seems to be something I can edit out very quickly. To do with. Okay. So that's really all there is to it. Then you can come up here and go File, Save As. I'll just put Save. And just so we're. And it gives you a starting file name to save, which just convenience factor there. Then you can export the audio. You can go out as MP3, a WAV, or an M4A. Standard stuff for any audio editor, okay? So I'm going to come back and we're going to visit these shortly. The noise filter. In fact, I'll go ahead and show you the first one. It defaults with the denoise. Now this is the same as remove noise in Camtasia. But if I want to fan noise, and just by moving this up and down, holding my mouse key, as I can really alter that. And here's the equalizer. Guys, if you have a deep voice or you have you need to add body to it, air would be more of a higher frequency range. Adding body is going to give you a more mid-range. But I come down here and I tune up my voice a little bit. I give it, and you can always play with this as you're editing. So I'll just do this. So today we're going to start with editing tips and tricks to do with Audiate. And sometimes I have some. Okay, so you can kind of see it's starting to clean up a little bit. There's some other things that I might try with it is in the effects here. So you can actually save this as a chain preset, which I really like this effect because if you say if you know your voice is the same way and you're recording in the same room all the time, same fan noise, same 60 hertz fluorescent tubes up above, you can save this as a group or as a chain preset. Very nice little feature they added. Other things that you would want to put in here, volume leveler, if you want to punch up the volume a little bit. What I can do here is I'm going to push my output up a little bit, and sometimes I'm going to just clear the muddy water here. This is a low frequency cleanup right here, and it gives a little bit more clarity. So between that one and that one is kind of what I use. And it really depends on how close the mic is to you. I have a telescoping boom with my Shure MV7, and if I pull it about 6 inches away from me like it is now, I get a really good podcast quality that I can tune up really well. And I know I have to tune it up. And I've had people all the time when I do voiceover work tell me, Damon, it sounds like you're in a hollow room and you need to clear your voice a little bit. So again, just simple tricks, have a cup of water, have ice water around, have some juice. These are just little things to help you with the voice part of if you're doing any voiceover work or audio tuning, okay? So we played around with this, so you know a little bit about that, and a little bit about the waveform, just very basic editing. But here's the nice thing, is I actually have a script right now. So if I wanted to send this off and make a blog post, now this is not long enough to be a blog post, but I could actually turn it on and talk about something I know, and it could be 2 or 3 pages long, and I'll finally get tired of talking, and then I can come in and tune it up. I can have an audio pre-built with it, and I can get a text script all ready to go. Now, this is all great, but how do I use it with Camtasia? Well, I've been waiting for 3 years now, so I'm excited about it. So let's go into this a little bit more. Okay, so the next thing is how to use it with Camtasia. There's 3 clicks that you're going to have to do inside of Camtasia, and I'm going to do this for you. Is you need to select the row that you want to edit. Now, let me tell you, if you're on a webcam, you've got to split the track. If you have like a talking head, like I do a lot, is if it is attached to your webcam audio, then you need to split it. Otherwise, if you're just doing a voiceover over a screencast, you can work it right from here. So select it. Number 2, you're going to hit your right mouse button, and you'll get your little dialog box, and then you want to click Edit and Audiate. This is the new feature that they added right there, okay? The next thing that you're going to do, this is step 3, is you're going to click number 3. You click Open in Audiate. Okay. So once you do that, it's going to open Audiate and it's going to render the video over to Audiate. So let's see how it's done. So I'm going to go back here. I'm just going to close this out. I'll just, in fact, I'll just say new project here.
And folks might know or hear this feature called round tripping, is when one app can talk directly to another and vice versa.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. Could it be better? And I'll show you some things that it could be better. But right now, I'd say it's at a good 95% of a good workflow. Okay, so I've got Audiate completely cleaned. It's just an untitled doc. You don't have to have it open. You just have to have it on your computer. So I'm going to go over to this. Now, this is a demo I was doing earlier today, is how to use Trello. And I'm going to come out with a little video course about Trello, and this is how to improve your productivity using Trello. In fact, our next Geek Out Friday is talking about productivity tools. This is one of them. So I was just kind of doing some work with that, and this is about 5 minutes. Now, to render it over to Audiate, it takes almost that same 5 minutes to go over. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do up to about here. So I'm going to select it. I'm going to splice it, hitting S to splice it. So we're just going to do this first part. Now I recorded this earlier when the AC's on and we got people talking. I don't know if you can hear their voices. This is a demo video about how to use Trello. Okay, so you can hear there's a lot of noise in the background. I can clean it up a little bit right here. Noise removal. I drop it in here. So let's see what that sounds like. Kanban maps, and basically, and you can kind of hear some of my hesitance already in there. And here's some kind of typing part. I really, in a sales video or any type of professional video, I really don't want people hearing me type. I want to start typing, and then I want the words to pop up. So these would be things that I would be editing out as the typing, or else I'd squeeze it into a tight a clip and just make the speed at like seven times normal. And then I know right here, I've got some hesitance in here. This is me probably saying okay and ums. And in fact, these little standalone clips here are ums. I've learned too, if I say ums or uhs or buts, I give me about 2 or 3 seconds, and then I can recognize it on the waveform. This makes it, in fact, I know right here, there's an right there. The more you do voice over work, the more people will notice that about you. And I can't really get rid of it in doing my normal talking, but I can quickly get rid of it here on the editor. And that's what I'm about to show you. So we're going to take this over to Audiate. And I'm going to go edit in Audiate. Oh, yeah. If you save the file, then it's going to render it over. That one did pretty quick. Okay, now we're going into Audiate, and it's transcribing the audio, and it's saying it's going to take about a minute.
Damon, do you know, can you make a selection on the timeline and then right-click for the context menu and export selection to Audiate, do you know? Like you can if you're going to produce?
I think, and we'll look at it. I think you can do by selection. What I just did was I put a split.
Yeah,
so
you split it, sure.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. And while it's doing that, I'll just make a point going back to some of the things you were talking about, like the hesitancy and the ums and the pauses. You know, there's a term that I think a lot of my folks know. It's called the Fluency Heuristic. Do you know what that is, Damon?
No. No,
The
I don't.
fluency heuristic states that the more fluidly and not rapidly, but the I guess kind of the faster and the more fluid something is spoken, the more credible or knowledgeable that person is perceived to be. So in other
Yes.
words, if you speak without any hesitation and you are talking about this point right here and then this point right here and then this point right here, and there are no extraneous ahs, and noticeable fumbles, then you are literally, I call it, I actually did a video on this like, I don't know, years ago, and the title of the video is How to Sound Smarter Than You Really Are. So
Yep.
there you go.
In fact, I remember it, and I learned from it. One of the things I think you pointed out was, one, you got to take out, you got to clean up your audio. Take out the ums, ands, and buts. But there's a trick I do on, and I'll show everybody my trick is, and I think I learned it from you, Lon, is once I get everything right on my audio and video track, I will come in and increase my voice speed by 1.5 or 1.05 or 1.07. I want it to it shortens the timeline a little bit, but it makes me sound a little bit smarter. It also raises the pitch of my voice. So people, sometimes it gets to, I want it to dial it in so where it's below the Alvin and the Chipmunks. I don't want it that high, but I will raise it up 5% to 7%. And if you've got everything cleaned up and tightened up, it sounds great. And this is how I deliver final voiceover work and final videos. And if you're watching sales videos, you can really tell somebody that has spent time on a sales video is, do they draw out everything? Does it look like they just recorded it and then posted it up on YouTube? If they haven't spent time in it, they don't, to me, is if you are putting things out in the public, you've got to have that audio tuned in. I mean, that's the one key thing that differentiates you as a marketing professional versus the people that are just tossing things up.
Yep. And my folks know that audio is 65% of the perceived quality of a video.
Yep. Now, let's look at what we brought over. So you can kind of see it's translated some of the stuff, and I intentionally made some mistakes in here. Okay, so I'm going to play it in here. So one of the things that I use Trello for. So in fact, I'm going to start up here. So you hear that, you can hear that noise right there. Okay. This is a demo video about how to use Trello in. Okay, so here's what we're going to do first. Now, there's two options with these here. Is when you're in edit, you can delete all hesitance, which I do this because I know the way that I do my hesitance in there is usually I have a space in front and a space behind, okay? But I've heard people, and I've had to edit people where they go, I use Trello for creating boards. Is so close to here that the for and the word in front and back is kind of blended in with the So you might even consider when you're at this word here is maybe I need to shorten that up, or maybe I can lengthen it out right here and do my cut. And this is how I like cutting. Audio it's so freaking easy right here. Now, let's go in here. I'm going to go ahead and delete all my hesitations, and then I'm going to come in here and silence all pauses. Now, guys, this one little trick right here, it's going to clean up all these pauses right in here. This, if you're doing it manually and you're selecting clips and you're either cutting that clip or you're silencing that clip, this could take you 20 to 30 minutes to do what I'm doing right here. Okay. Now it didn't recognize this as a pause, but look at how clean the pause lines are. Okay, so now I can do some really good cuts in here. And we're going to go all the way back to the very beginning. I don't want this. So delete. This is a demo video about how to use Trello in your pause, kind of for effect. So I'm just going to do a right there in your productivity. Okay, to increase your product. Now there is a blank right there. I'm going to come in. Let's do this. I want to really take this right in here, and I'm going to cut right here. Very small cut, but the pacing of the words is what you're looking for. Productivity to increase your product. Okay. And maybe I didn't even need this. This is a demo in your product too. Okay, maybe let's just do that. That's probably better. So when you're using this tool and you're not doing a webcam, feel free to repeat the sentence. If you know that you're going to go in and edit it yourself, or you're using a tool like this, find the best sentence. So you don't even have to pause what you're talking about. Just you give a pause, repeat the sentence in the format you want, give it a pause, and repeat it again if you want to. And then you come in here and decide, well, what do I really want? This is a demo video about how to use Trello. Trello to increase your productivity and to okay.
And we do this all the time too, Damon. I actually got it from Family Guy voiceover booth videos. They call it recording in threes. So what they'll do is they'll say things 3 times on purpose. What they'll do is they'll say 3 things on purpose. What they'll do is they'll say 3 things on purpose. And by the time you get to the third one, it almost always sounds more natural than the first. Now, you don't have to do that with like every single thing, but that is one of the top tips, or especially if you're reading a script, because people will complain all the time. Well, it doesn't sound natural when I read a script. Well, that's because you're reading it. When you read it and speak it, if you just pause for a second, your brain already knows what to do then. And it's just your next couple shots will be much more speaking like. And the reason, of course, we do them right next to each other is because, like you're talking about right there, it makes it stupid easy to edit. Pick the best, ditch the rest.
Yep. And reading is, I could have read on further and go, oh, there's a sentence I needed to delete. So let's focus on to increase your productivity and to remember things and to set goals. So one of the things that I use Trello for, and I know this is going to be a long pause right here, is creating boards and creating ideas in the boards. So I don't even have to I'm looking at the waveform editor. Is creating boards and creating ideas in the, there's a pause right there. Boards. Okay. There's another pause. I'll just go ahead and take that out. I want to work on at a later time. That way I can set them up and forget it. The other way. Okay. I want you to watch.
Quick question. Are you just single clicking on the 3 ellipses there? Or the 3?
Yeah, I will highlight it. I single click.
Okay.
And then hit the delete button.
Right. So that's easier than making a selection is my point. If you could just single click that, that's kind of handy.
Yep. And then I'm right here, so that way I can set them up and forget it. Okay. See how this word, and watch this timeline right here. It's forget it is what it should have been. Okay. So I'm going to highlight those 2 words, Control D, and forget. Okay. You kind of squeezed it in just a little bit. Set them up and forget it. The other way that we use Trello, there's some silence right there, is to manage our projects. So currently we're working in, now I know this is MasterNet. So I'm going to hit Control D and masher net. See how it squeezed it all together? This, if you were trying to fix somebody else's audio, Lon, you've probably done this many times editing somebody's, where you really want to squeeze it together, but where does it all join together?
Yeah.
Currently we're working in MasherNet. And here's some more silence right here. One click, delete. And so this would be the bugs that we're working on, wish list items, and then finish task. We bring up another one. Okay. And I know I just want to get rid of that. And I'm going to use RSS map. In fact, I don't even need that right there. So these are items that we're currently working on, and any active bugs that we've encountered in the software, we'll report them back in the team. And we'll also do some wish lists. These are items that we'd like to get to, no specific time frame on them, and these are integrations. So this is completed items over here. Now, there's something that you may have noticed right here. Now, listen to this time frame on them. Okay, and it looks like them, where they silence this, I'm going to unsilence this. So, unsilence. Okay. I know this is really picky, but the M of them was in the timeline that was silenced. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
Yeah.
And so I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to go ahead and leave that in there. In fact, I could silence just that little section there. So let's listen to it again. Time frame on them. And these are, it's just a little thing that when you audit your voice so much, you start catching, I left a letter out or somewhere. So occasionally you'll notice when it silences, it will catch part of a word. So just pay attention when you're editing. So this is completed items over here. Okay. This one here, this section in here, I bring out my O's a little bit. So I'm going to come over here and go unsilence. And then see how I'm kind of dragging out my O's there. I'm going to go ahead and put it right here and then silence. So I'm giving you some audio tips that people pay for. I hope you appreciate that. So this is completed items over here, and it's really easy. Now, I don't even know what this was. It's really easy if we wanted to work on it. Okay. It's real easy. I'm just going to take that out. If we wanted to work on anything, and I'm just going to take that, and let's go ahead and we can bring it from the, okay. So this is pretty much done as far as this little section of clip here, okay? Now, I'm going to come back up here, back up to the start. Let's do a little noise filtering here. And I've got denoise out. I'm going to put the fan noise in, okay? Kind of silent. What this will work on is throughout the words, it's going to take out that little bit of fan noise at a certain frequency in there. I'm going to come over here. Let's equalize my voice just a little bit. And these are just things you can kind of play with. And I'm going to come over here to, I don't have any reverb or plosives. I've got a foam filter on my mic, so it does remove most of these myself, or most of the mic is going to catch that. So here's some declipper right here. This is, if you're clipping some of the audio, that means it's going all the way up, peaking over. I seldom use this because I push my mic out just a little bit. If I if I see that I'm clipping or I'm being too loud that day, this helps a little bit, but for the most part, I'm just going to remove that effect. I don't want this. So these are the ones that I use the most. Push the output up just a little bit on my equalizer. Okay. And I'm good to go. Now, once you're done, you'll come over here and save. And it's going to save it as an audio project. Okay. Now you're ready to export it back to Camtasia. This is the one that I recommend that you use because it's going to edit your video as well. So I'm going to just hit export. So all the cuts that we made are going to be applied to the video track. Okay. So you can kind of look at this and go,
this is a demo video about how to use Trello to increase your productivity and to remember things.
I'm going to take it down just a notch there.
And to set goals. So one of the things that
okay, that's what it sounds like after, and this is what it was before. Oops, let's just go here.
You can put a checklist in there.
Okay, now here's the real trick is, one is I got this, and I'm going to take this clip speed, go ahead and put it over here, put the clip speed in, and let's push it to about 1.07. Okay, now I'm going to come back over here and go.
And to set goals. So one of the things that I use Trello for is creating boards and creating ideas in the boards that I want to work on at a later time.
I may even want to push it up just a little bit higher. Now there is a little bit, it sounds like a hollowness, and this is where you can kind of put an underlying music in there. Let's do 1.09. Okay, speeds it up a little bit.
Set them up and forget it. The other way that we use Trello is to manage our projects.
Yeah, I know y'all are getting feedback from the speaker up to the mic. It sounds pretty good, you know, just coming straight out of the speaker. But I'm going to tune it up just a little bit. I'm going to pull the volume down just a little bit, and then I would probably lay a soundtrack down back behind it. And audio tracks. It's more of a motivational. So I would push this down to about maybe 8-9%. And that takes, it kind of covers up, masks that hollowness.
So one of the things that I use Trello for is creating boards and creating ideas in the boards that I want to work on at a later time.
Now there is still some, the rhythm, the pacing is just not like I like it. So I may even re-record certain sections in there to get the pacing right. But this is real easy to edit.
Nice.
Go ahead.
So when you make the cuts and stuff on the audio in Audiate and send it back to Camtasia, does it cut the corresponding screen capture that you have, the video?
It does.
So it stays synced up?
Yep.
Nice.
So see these cut, I don't know if you could see the cut lines in here.
Yeah, I can now. Yeah, I see it.
Okay.
And then Natalia asks, let's see, could be helpful. Most of my audio editing is with the person on the video. Could it be helpful there too?
To me, that's where it would really pay off is if you're, I'm so used to looking at a waveform and seeing some corrections I need to make, like right here, is I know there's too much spacing right in here.
Yeah.
And so I can visually look at a waveform and make some general notes that I got to go in and start cutting in here. Also, I have a little clicker, one of these grasshopper clicker things, that if I'm making a mistake, I'll click that and it puts a double spike It goes all the way up to the top. So I know I need to do an edit. This was before I started using Audiate in the crossover. But if you're using somebody else's voice, by having it on the timeline, you can tell where their sentences are. And so you're reading, or you can read it down here on the waveform and see kind of what they may actually start repeating words. I'm very susceptible to repeating ands or its.
Yeah.
And I can notice sometimes I have 3 or 4 ands in a row.
So if you're on camera and you do that, it's going to cut that out of the video, right?
Yes.
How well does that work? Or do you just want to be cognizant of that as you're recording yourself on video? I mean, not be jerking around too much and stuff like that, probably, huh?
Yeah. And I think you either taught me this or Andy Jenkins, is if you're noticing some really strong cuts on your webcam, is to do a transition over that with, take away the webcam and leave the audio in place, but cut the webcam in that position and do a full screen with whatever you're showing. So do a transition cut across your webcam.
Right. Or the other thing is what you could do is you split it there and then zoom in just a touch. So it's like a different camera shot. And it's an instant zoom. You don't be, in and out and all that good stuff. You change the scale of that, a little section, and that really covers that stuff up nice. At least the egregious stuff. No, I'm guessing, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, if you just remove a little bit of a thing, it's probably not going to be bad, huh?
No, it's not going to be bad. Camtasia's their new version. They don't use my Canon EOS webcam. I shoot, my webcam is off of a Canon M mirrorless digital. It's a little bit more than the Logitech, but it is so much better quality than the Logitech. And I have a green wall behind me. So the Zoom calls that I do, they're just almost look perfect. And some people ask, that is a really nice place you're living in, Damon. No, it
looked nice, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. And Logitech has a very wide angle on their camera. The DSLRs, especially the Canon, has a very narrow focus. It's like a 50 millimeter lens. And they have a software that your USB plugs into your computer, and it's called the EOS webcam. Well, the new Camtasia doesn't read that new webcam software, and it doesn't read Sony's webcam software.
Yeah, I know there's some cameras, and especially the virtual camera stuff, they're still working on.
I have a feeling that within 2 or 3 months they'll have it fixed, and that's fine. I just know that at times a talking head over a sales video is not necessarily what you want.
Nope.
You want the focus to be on the product. And nowadays you want the focus, your mouse to be the hero, which you can do with the Camtasia.
Yeah, and I've been a fan of that for years. I am not a fan of talking head videos where the little guy in the corner's yammering while he's trying to show him something.
Yep.
I'm all for appearing on camera and then getting the hell out of the way. And when I say out of the way, I mean goodbye, so that you can focus on what you're supposed to be focused on. But that's just a personal preference.
Well, and I'm the same way. And occasionally, here's where talking heads pay off. To me, is if you're doing some social media videos and you want to build your know, like, trust factor, that people, they see your face, they see your talking, they know you're real, they know you make mistakes. Your ums, ands, and okays are in the conversation. So it's more of a social conversation that you're having if you have a talking head there. But if you're doing sales videos, I may show my picture, but I'm not going to do a webcam. I'm going to go straight for this quality right here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to spend a lot of time on the audio, tuning it up.
Yep.
This tool just makes it so much simpler. And Lon, you asked about if I could do a selection. So let's see here. I just haven't tried this yet. So no, it's going to go back to edit and audiate.
Yeah, it took the selection away, didn't it?
Yep. So that's why I was doing just cuts.
Right.
So
split. Yeah.
Yeah, split that. Oops. And then highlight this little section and then edit. Oops. I don't know. Add timeline. I don't know what I did wrong.
Try unselecting it, just selecting the clip, not the playheads. There you go.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay, there we go. Edit and audiate. Yep. Now, you can separate this, but if you separate it, when you take this across, yeah, come on in. When you take this across, I've not had very good experience of it cutting the video when it comes back.
Ah, okay.
Okay, so you give it a try, and this is, you know, it's something that you're going to have to experiment with. It's not perfect yet, but I've had errors coming back across this way. Okay.
Okay.
So we've gone in and we've experimented. You've seen this is one feature here. This is the other feature, and then editing up here or editing right here. Very simple, very easy to use. When you're done with all this, here's the beauty about it, is you have saved it here, so you can export to a script. You can export a selection if you want as audio or script. So if you're into blogging, you're doing podcasts, and you want to repurpose your content, you know, you can save it as an audio, export it audio, and export the script. So you could take your video immediately and make an audio. Of course, you can do that in Camtasia real easy. But you can do an audio that's been tuned up, and you can export it to a script.
Will it do a SRT?
That's what I was about to say. Is I don't think it will go to SRT. No, it will.
There you go.
That's kind of nice.
Well, that's pretty sweet. Yeah.
So
for those that don't know, that would be a transcription file that you could upload to YouTube, and it puts in the closed captions for you. YouTube does a pretty good job of picking it out and stuff, but you still got to massage it a little bit. And hey, you just did it right there, so you might as well take advantage of it.
And demo, let's see. Now, here's the thing to keep in mind, though, is whenever you do this, it has the time cut marks of the wording on the SRT. If you are only doing a section of it, or if the section is like right here that you're doing to edit to audiate,
yep, I get it.
It's going to show, the timeline's going to be 0 seconds right here.
Yeah.
So you really want to do the entire timeline if you can.
Yeah.
It's just the way to look at it, or separate these into different file sections. Save it as, make your cut, save it as a different file. Okay. Are there any specific questions about this? I kind of went over it fast, but there's really not much to it. They've got the workflow down. So what we did silence the pauses. I removed the hesitance, and I also showed you how to unsilence them if there's a problem, so you can get the back end of a word or the front end of the next word, and then edit and combine words together. This right here, I didn't notice it until I really got into it and playing with it, is when you start combining words, it tightens up that little clip. So if you had a long word that you just kind of left some pauses in the middle, or you just were, you didn't say it all tight together. Well, you can tighten it up by combining the words together, and it will tighten up the actual clip itself.
Yeah. Natalia asks, if after the audio is back in Camtasia, can I still unstitch the video edits made by Audiate and undo the edit in Camtasia? I'm guessing you probably can if it's just a stitch.
Yeah, what they did was they actually did the cuts, and then they stitched it all back together, it looks like.
So if you right-click on one, zoom in a bit, Damon, on the timeline length with your little slider. There you go. Okay, and then get to one of those. There you go. Just hover over one of them and right-click. Yeah, you don't even have to put your playhead there, I don't think. Unstitch.
Yeah.
There you go.
So all those were stitched back together. So you can unstitch if you want.
Yeah. Cool.
And there's your cut right there.
Nice.
You see it. And so you could, if you have an issue, and this is if you're doing your webcam issue, if you have a cut like that and it just doesn't look right, lay a transition over it, and or like Lon said, is go zoom in on it and do a very fast zoom.
But with a screen capture, the other thing I like to do is I'll just put the playhead at the end of, where it was good, the clip that it was good, and then export a frame. Export at playhead, and then you can just right-click on the playhead there. There you go. On the playhead, you got to right-click on the playhead. Boom, and say Add Exported Frame.
Yep.
And it puts it right where you want it on the timeline and in the media bin. So that can cover up a myriad of mistakes also.
Oh, that's great. I didn't even know you could do it from the playhead. I learned something today. That's great.
Yeah, you want me to teach you something else? When you increase the clip speed, it won't muck up your audio narration anymore either.
On which one?
On any of it.
Oh, okay. Oh, are you saying over here it's not going to make me out of the chipmunk?
And I'm trying to remember. I haven't really used it, but it's a pitch correction.
Oh, okay.
So, if you speed it up, it's going to just speed it up without changing the tone, the frequency.
Okay.
Try that once for me, just while you're here, and to wrap up, just select just a part of the audio and change it to 3.
Oh.
Crank that thing out.
Well,
kick that mule.
Okay.
And then play it. So it's really fast, but it's not Alvin.
Yeah, that's a little too fast.
That's a little too fast, yeah.
This is something.
Yeah, do a 1.5. And
want to work on at a later time. That way I can set them up and forget. The other way that we use.
Yeah, because used to, if I went over 1.25, I was Alvin the chipmunk there.
Yeah, that's the good news. The bad news is you can't turn that off if you want to have an Alvin chipmunk voice.
Oh.
Or to make someone sound really drunk, you can just slow it down.
Yeah. But this right here, this clip speed, is one of my favorite things to use in any type of voice work.
Yep. And so there you learn 2 new things. Boom.
That is cool. Damon,
do you have any links or anything you want to pop in the chat box for anybody to go check you out or whatever?
I'm not selling anything today, but I wanted to kind of, we went over noise filtering and waveform editing. And of course, that's my little demo slide. So I think we answered most questions.
Yep.
And I got tips like this. I do in fact, Lon was on my Friday show, every other Friday, we have a session called Geek Out Fridays. It's a Zoom webinar, and we just do marketing automation. And we've gone from where we're doing Facebook automation. We're doing we talk a lot about our products, the RSS Masher and Masher sites and booster pages and all that. But we also talk about how to make banner ads, how to make dynamic banner ads. This next session is there's some productivity tools that I use that I've literally been able to increase the amount of work I do per day, track it, and also automate some of it and communicate better with my partner so that we're all on the same platform. We have tried tons of different productivity tools. Most of them are way too complicated and they cost money. So I'm going to show you, not this Friday, but next Friday, the following Friday, is some productivity tools that I use that don't, if they cost any money, they're all under $40, but they work really well with a small team. And that's the most important thing is when you show up to work, you actually want to get something done. I mean, otherwise don't come into work.
I don't know if I typed it wrong or what, Damon. I put https://geekoutfridays.com, and I can't get there.
I think our Geek Out Fridays, just type in geekoutfridays.com. That's one way of doing it. Let's see if
I was trying to put it in the chat box.
Okay, let me see if I can do. It's a redirect link.
Can I just go ahead and put the VidPenguin link in then? Okay, cool.
Yep.
And we'll post that in the Facebook group as well, for sure.
Yeah. And basically, you're not signing. It's not costing you anything. This is just, Wayne and I. This is my partner. We like what we do, just like Lon likes what he does with the video editing. And so we go into deep dives, and they're all live shows. We have them recorded, so the important part is signing up here. You get all the recordings, any show notes, any PDFs we pass out, and then occasionally I will put them on YouTube. And if you ever forget, you can always just type in Geek Out. We kind of own this domain, or own this keyword, Geek Out Fridays. So we have a lot of Geek Out Fridays. Yes.
We do a lot of geeking out on Friday. I've been on your show, gosh, how many times? 3 or 4, probably?
Yeah, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we have a whole series of, and it's gone back 3 years, and you can, you can scroll through YouTube. I know it's on YouTube. But anyway, that's all I've got for you.
Excellent. I'll go ahead and grab the screen again then, and we'll wrap this thing up.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Damon, for coming. Everyone's
You're welcome.
Loving it. They said thank you and all that good stuff. And I'll go ahead, and this will be a replay from the GoToWebinar file. I didn't record it with Camtasia today, but I'll get that up tomorrow into the members area. And that's pretty much it. Thanks, everyone, for coming. Thanks, Damon. You're a rock star.
Thank y'all. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Excellent. All right, guys. See you all later.
Bye-bye.